continue the series I've been doing on legacy-ish era Star Wars CCG decks, I have a couple of Coruscant-oriented decks, the Capital Planet in Star Wars for the Republic, and I guess later the Empire too. If you want to know more about the context of where these decks came from, these particular arrangements of cards were never strictly legal, partially because of how my friend and I understood the rules when we got back into the game. You can check out the description for that. But that said, we'll dive right in. And I'll start with the dark side one. I haven't played this deck in probably a couple years, this particular version, but it was definitely one that was not designed for a quick win. It's one of those two-hour games at the kitchen table. Definitely one you got to grind out, but kind of the goal of ISB, trying to flip the objective over by getting a bunch of your spies on table, and then when you flip it over, you can retrieve agents and reduce your opponent's force drains. That was the big deal of this, was to try to get to their planet and reduce their force drains. So, kind of a complicated deck. I looked it over before making the video, but a lot of the intricacies I'm a bit rusty on, but trying to take into hand a couple of cards to start out with, and I had some printer issues when working on this, but the big deal with this one, and the one thing that's going to come up as I go through the deck, is cards that have advisor in title may be played as follows. Use one force to take into hand an ISB agent. So there's a couple of interrupts that are usually more expensive than that allow you to take in hand ISB agents. And yeah, like I said before, some printer issues when I made this deck a long time ago. I wasn't quite out of ink yet, so I just kept wanted to save some money, so I kept going. Now here's the other part of it. If I have a spy at this site, I can play that's one of the virtual sets, whatever set that is interrupts with advisor and title for 1 force. So playing these advisor interrupts for less force. So taking into hand droids with lurks or droids. This one lets you get sites, and if you have a spy at that site I was telling you about, you can play it for 1 force. So sites or ISB agents. And there's a couple sites there that I want to get out. The ISB office allowing you to relocate ISB guys. And just some useful agents. So he lets me get out systems. So I can get out a couple battleground systems. This is usually for effects, but you can also use it for ISB agents, of course. And getting out undercover, so there's a lot of undercover spies. And this guy's kind of the all-star of the deck. So while he's undercover, opponent's force drains at related locations are -1. So let's say, I don't know, they're on Tatooine or something, and they're trying to force drain me for 2. I have a spy there on Tatooine, so it has to be it has to be a non-undercover one, but I could have him undercover and then somebody else on Tatooine just try to lock down a site and make their force drains -2 on Tatooine. So it's pretty nasty if it works. And I remember my friend getting not too pleased by force draining me for 3 with a lightsaber, me only losing 1. And here's another heavy hitter in the deck. Being able to forfeit droids for life force. I should say from your life force, and they satisfy up to their forfeit value. So this is a pretty useful droid. He's an ISB agent. He can be used as a spy. When an opponent draws destiny, I can do all these fancy tricks like drawing cards, retrieving force, or activating force. And okay, I forgot he was in here, but yeah, he allows me to use Ichuta. That's where C-3PO got insulted by him on Cloud City, so canceling people's game text just by having a protocol droid there. A lot of fun, really annoying, kind of in the same way there. So I remember doing that a couple of times, and making a deck with a bunch of protocol droids in it seemed like a lot of fun, especially evil protocol droids, being on the dark side and all. Then ISB agents have all sorts of tricks about looking through your deck, picking up cards, deploying cards, so I won't spend too much time on any of those, but I do have a lot of Dreadnaughts in the deck, so that's what Thrawn is for. He lets you deploy a Dreadnaught or retrieve a Dreadnaught, so I would try to lose ISB agents and Dreadnaughts and try to retrieve those back, all the while hopefully the opponent is force draining me for a rather pathetic amount, while I'm draining for maybe 3 a turn. It was not a very powerful deck in terms of doing a lot of heavy hitting in battles or force drain damage. So Something to keep in mind if you ever print out your own virtual cards. This one printed too small because I think I had some settings about like fit to page or whatever. I clicked fit to page instead of regular size. So for most printers, if you select regular size when you're printing out your virtual cards, it'll turn out fine. It thinks it's going to be outside the margins, but it won't. But this sort of thing irritates me a little bit, but not quite enough to print off a bunch of new slips and re-put them in there. But yeah, I have a couple guys like that. So a spy droid, why not? Those can go undercover. And there's those printer issues I was talking about. But a useful gun that can forfeit to used pile. Being able to pull into hand Dreadnaughts. That's not a regular Dreadnought, that's the Katana. So the one from the Thrawn books from the mid-90s. And gives your other Dreadnaughts power bonuses and stuff. And some actual Dreadnaughts here. And then also more printer issues with that. And then this card, can't remember if there was a, oh, you know what, Imperial Code Cylinder. It has to do with that effect, Force Servitude, yeah. Once per turn you may play Imperial Code Cylinder to cancel Force Drain where you have a droid. So, I don't know, let's say they get a big Force Drain somewhere, somehow, with a bunch of lightsabers, then I have TC-14 sitting there and cancel it with Imperial Code Cylinder. So this was definitely a very grindy deck. I played it once or twice. It had its uses, but I don't know. I like stuff with a bit more battling. This was just kind of a change of pace. So that was the dark side. The light side one here, Clone Snipers. That's focused on Coruscant. This deck is pretty fun for a couple of reasons. There's just a lot of weapons that I use in this deck. So starting out, I guess we should go like this. Careful planning, being able to get a 4-to-2 starting ratio, so 4 light side, 2 dark side icons. Cloning cylinders, allowing you to take clones out of your lost pile and put them there, and then you can deploy them later. It costs, quite a bit of force to do, but it's basically retrieval that you don't have to pay any extra for. This is huge for recycling weapons and getting extra activation. I use Walkling to get out of Jedi's plans, which allows me to get sights. It's a little bit expensive, but these guys are the main guys in the deck. You can deploy sharpshooter rifles on them and have an extra weapon destiny draw to decide which one you want to use. I got a few snipers with their sniper rifles. You can fire just on its own in my control phase, no special cards, no sorry about the mess or anything. I can fire using 2 force. So adding 2 to it, to the destiny, and drawing 2 destiny, choosing 1, there's a good chance I'll be able to just hopefully sit at a site, maybe with a couple snipers, and just pick off whoever's sitting there. I think I hit Vader once. I went for the Emperor on one turn and I missed him, but I think I did just sniped Vader from an adjacent site once. So that was pretty fun. It wasn't a hunt down deck or anything, where it would have been hilarious if I could do that, but it was still a lot of fun. Then these are the big guys in space, being able to add attrition and a couple of clone pilots, and just some ridiculous text on these guys. I mean, they add 2 to the power, he's forfeit +1, I adds 1 of my force drains, and makes them immune to attrition. So, a very nice card. Some weapons that can deploy on them, concussion missiles, and that's a ridiculous card. Makes it so your opponent can't move, and the pilots can't apply their ability towards drawing battle destiny. So, I mean, if you're up against the Executor with 10 pilots on it, I mean, they're not going to draw battle destiny through ability. And then the ATRTs, who have the clone specialists aboard them, so they can use the snowspeeder cannon on them, basically. And these guys are fairly good pilots, drawing 2 weapon destiny and choosing 1, so I'm drawing a lot of weapon destinies here and being able to pick what I want. And then this is a pretty crazy card. So, targeting a character, and I add 2 to the destiny, make them forfeit 0, and I can hit vehicles by adding the the ability of the pilot. So, real nice anti-weapon, anti-personnel card. I should say anti-vehicle, anti-personnel weapon, and using cards like this to add a battle destiny, not bad. And a couple of clones with guns. So you'll notice there's if you been around the game for a while, you'll notice there's newer ones here. So We did update these decks from time to time, but slowly going on, my friend and I, we've just kind of done the, I guess what's called the modern open format. So a few clones, a couple of battlegrounds to get out. This allows me to add a Battle Destiny with pretty much any weapon, so that's not a lightsaber, so any of those concussion missiles, the dual laser cannon, the clone sniper rifle. So being able to use this one and this one to add 2 Battle Destinies when I'm firing an ATRT, which is already pretty good, that's going to be fun. So I guess I have 4 copies of this card here, but being able to deploy clones from my reserve deck by using just 1 force. And then I can retrieve cards, and of course I can add a Battle Destiny, so just from interrupts alone I could be adding 3 Battle Destinies. And depending on what cards my opponent has, they might not be able to reduce me to 1. I often fall victim to Imperial Commands or Rebel Leaderships, which limit the opponent to 1, but that's usually the first card I grab if I see one played. And this one, not a super easy card to set up, but being able to put this at a docking bay and making your force drains +2 at adjacent sites might make the opponent come after you a little bit more, which was kind of the goal, just so I can start shooting at things. Got my Coruscant Celebration in there, that's a foil. And then the old Starship Levitation before they made the combo card with 1 less Destiny, but being able to take those Acclimators into hand is very nifty. So that was the Clones deck, specifically the Clone Snipers. I do love the combo of these 2. I will have more videos of Legacy-ish era decks coming, so I hope you tune in for those. And also check out other videos on my channel, especially sealed product from SWCCG, and also the occasional collection reviews that I pick up when I buy a collection. Thanks again for watching. Have a good one.